no, seriously. I'll do the best I can. Like, what do you want me to do? Oh, I gotta go. God damn it.
Jesus.
That was James. James called me. He's like, hey, don't screw this up today, How Man. That's what James calls me. He calls me the How Man.
You're the word. I'm the word. You're the how. I'm the Ed.
I'll tell you what. Ed's here. I'm here. It's the Midas. Sorry. I'm sorry. It's Midas Letter for this Friday, March the 29th. Boy, we got a good show for you today. A couple of exciting things happened. No, don't put that up. I'm not doing that yet. Take that down. Come on. Don't jump the gun. Right now, we're just doing the warm-up. We're doing the hellos. Very exciting stuff. Where were you an hour ago? I'll tell you where I was.
I was in a bar.
Yeah, of course you were.
I was having a beer.
Were you really? Eh?
Yeah, Irish Embassy.
Attaboy.
With a couple of...
You got a nice little midday buzz on.
I'm buzzing.
You are?
Yeah, I got a little buzz on.
So what you missed was this. We had a fire alarm in this building.
I know.
Yeah.
I met a lady that was, her legs were shaking.
Seriously?
Yeah, because she looked at me and her legs started to shake.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the reaction? Then she told me there was a fire alarm.
Well, I just love that.
You ever walk down? Did you walk down?
No, here's what I wanted to say. Fire alarm goes off, big noise, and stop shaking the table.
It's not me.
Oh, it's not you.
I'll do it with no hands.
Oh, will you? All right.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just saying.
You know, Ed's got a buzz on because he's doing, you know, it doesn't matter what he's doing. So the alarm goes off. I've never been here for one of them. The alarm goes off, and Ricky and Donald and Connor and Simon, everyone's like, should we go downstairs? And the guy comes on and goes, there's a problem on the 5th floor. Everyone should leave. And then the kids are like, no, we're not leaving. I say, should we leave? They go, no, because it's like 29 floors down, and then you have to walk back, or I have to get back up. So
well, you don't have to walk back.
No,
up.
you have to take the elevator, right? Have you ever gone down 29 floors?
I've gone down 31 floors because I used to be in. This happened to me, and you know what? The next day you can hardly walk. Going down 31 flights,
right?
You don't do that. Like,
no, you don't.
Your muscles don't know that.
Don't
function.
They? No.
Function.
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 Funkhauser.
So anyway, that was exciting. We had a fire alarm. And you weren't here for it.
The abject terror of 9/11 must have been just incomprehensible.
Yeah.
Like knowing, and the firemen that climbed up, they knew they were going to their death. They had to know. Like that is the wildest shit.
How did we go from fire alarm to now we're doing 9/11? Because by the way, you don't know this about me, but I can do 9/11 for hours.
Yeah.
Hours. I have friends of mine now that won't say the word. They won't say 9 or 11 near me.
Hours, as in Howard.
Hours.
Hours.
All right. It's obvious that you're hammered.
It's hammer time.
Okay.
Okay.
I was speaking of 9/11. I was in New York a couple months ago, and I had not been back to New York to see the 9/11 museum. And I would tell you, and I'm a conspiracy guy. Just Google Building 7. That's all I want you to do. But that being said, yes, Building 7, Connor. That had no reason to go down.
Listen, wipe that smile off your face.
Listen to me. That building had no reason to go down at 5:20 p.m.
Am I sitting a little higher right now?
You do whatever you want there, big fella. Listen to me, sir. If you do yourself a favor, go see the 9/11 Museum. It's fantastic. Yeah. Okay? On the show today, big show. Are you ready for this? Here's the big show now. As always, we're going to start with a screen with no words on it. There we go. Ricky's got the news coming up here in a second or two. Then Benjamin Smith will be on. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different things. And yes, we're going to answer some questions. Charlotte's Web, their financials released today. We're going to get to that. Peter Miller, very interesting character. This kid, he sold one of his companies for like $450 million. He's a kid. He's 30 years old. Something like that. Anyway, we're going to talk to him from SLANG Worldwide. Then later on in the show, from FSD Pharma, Anthony Durkacz.
Anthony, I went to his party last night.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Who are you?
No, he had a major party.
Yeah.
A company called Pump. It's an extraction business.
Right.
And we were out there, late at night.
You smoke a little bit of weed last night?
A little bit.
Yeah?
A little bit.
Can you guys put that back up? Because I still have to tell what the rest of it... Oh, you want to hear Ed tell the got high story? Go ahead.
Well, after you know, the little
puff puff. Yeah, what happened?
That was about it.
Did somebody show
Hard
me
to
on
remember.
Show me on the doll where you were touched. Also coming
Show
up.
me on the doll.
Also coming up on the show today, beside Peter, who is a friend of Ed's, we'll do some chart analysis. The Ed man will sober up by then. And then at about 4:10, this will be another conversation about a very fascinating aspect of this whole weed business from Street Beverage Company. Terry Donnelly is going to be here. I've had the pleasure of talking to him a couple times. And again, I think you know now I don't drink alcohol, but they are working on this technology where you will be able to have alcohol-infused beverages, cannabis-infused beverages, but unlike the edible world, which can be unpredictable. Like, I'm not a big edible fan, mainly because you never know how it's going to affect you when the onset comes on.
Yeah.
But the technology now is available where they'll be able to measure the amount of cannabis in each individual drink, and they'll be able to predict its onset, which is what we're going to talk about with Terry. Okay. You ready?
You know what? I want to be in your shadow.
Okay. Let's get started. Here's Ricky with the news. I could never have imagined.
Here are the headlines moving markets today. Charlotte's Web Holdings reported a net income of $3.2 million in its fourth quarter financial results ending on December 31st, 2018. Highlights of the fourth quarter include an organic consolidated revenue growth of 71% to $21.5 million from the fourth quarter of 2017. Gross profit increased 63% to $16.3 million, or 76% of consolidated revenue. Highlights of the 2018 full-year results include a reported net income of $11.8 million, up from $7.5 million from the same time period last year. Organic revenue growth of 74% to $69.5 million compared to 2017, and their gross profit increased 75% to $52.3 million, or 75% of consolidated revenue. For an in-depth breakdown of Charlotte Web's performance and its financial results, visit MidasLetter.com to see an article written by our lead writer, Benjamin A. Smith. Auxly Cannabis Group also reported its financials today, announcing a net loss of $66.98 million, or 14 cents per share, in its full year ending on December 31st, 2018. In 2019, the company expects to sell raw cannabis into the dry cannabis market and participate in the market for derivative products, with an increasing part of its business dedicated to derivative cannabis product development, manufacturing, and distribution as the industry evolves. The company expects, therefore, that material revenue generation will coincide with the legalization and regulatory approvals for derivative cannabis products and the company's sale of such products to the market. iAnthus Capital Holdings announced that its U.S. subsidiary has entered into a letter of intent to acquire CBD For Life, a national CBD brand in the U.S. CBD For Life is a producer of natural and luxurious CBD-infused pain management and beauty products, using 99% pure CBD extract derived from stems and stalks of industrial hemp. CBD For Life has experienced an increase in interest from mainstream retailers in the first quarter of 2019 following the passage of the Farm Bill. Emerald Health Therapeutics has fulfilled its first purchase order of cannabis from Yukon Liquor Corporation. The company also signed a sales agreement with Alberta Gaming Liquor and Cannabis and became officially registered by the Saskatchewan Liquor and Gaming Authority to supply cannabis to the Saskatchewan market. First shipments to Alberta and Saskatchewan are expected in April. Natura Naturals Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of Tilray Inc. and High Park Holdings Limited, has received a standard processing license under the Cannabis Act. The Natura greenhouse facility, which previously held a standard cultivation license, will now be able to manufacture a wide range of cannabis form factors and cannabis starting material, including oil, pre-rolls, and novel formats such as topicals and edibles. Natura, which will operate under High Park Gardens Inc., was acquired by Tilray in February 2019 to serve the adult use and medical cannabis market in Canada alongside Tilray's existing operations. Evenco Incorporated announced that the remaining $4 million principal amount of senior unsecured convertible debentures of the initial $10 million principal amount of debentures issued by the company in June 2018 has now been converted into common shares of the company. A total of over 13 million common shares in the capital of the company have been issued to the holder of such debentures in accordance with the terms of the debentures. PharmaCielo Limited announced that its Colombian subsidiary has received approval from the National Cultivar Registry for the listing of a further 10 strains. The additional registration of the new strains to the National Cultivar Registry, including a unique 1:1 THC to CBD ratio strain, doubles the number of approved strains PharmaCielo holds in the registry. And that's your news for today.
Nice. There's Ricky and the news. Ricky and the news. Lots of people talking about Charlotte's Web.
Charlotte's Web.
You're going to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm going to put the chart.
Ben's going to talk about it?
Yeah.
What do you want to say about it? Do you want to say something and then we throw to Ben?
Well, I'll just say this, that I talked to somebody that was a knowledgeable guy, and he said they missed a bit. In other words, the numbers were great, but they missed a bit.
Okay.
And now the stock's off a bit, missed a bit, off a bit. See how it works? Off a bit.
I do see how it works.
Anyway, well, you know what? We'll look at the chart later.
We'll look at the chart later.
Let's speak to our buddy.
He's the
Benjamin,
head writer of this particular letter, the Midas Letter. Good day, Ben. How are you today, sir?
Very well. How are you guys? I'm
fantastic. I don't know if you've been listening in, but our very good friend here, Ed Milewski, Ed Milewstyle, Ed Milewski.
Eddie Alphabet.
Eddie Milewski, he went out for beers at lunch. So it's just you and me today, Ben.
Yeah, well, I'm used to going in the studio. So.
Oh, you are? You're used to that? Well, it's all new to me. He came in here, he's like, I'll fight you, like 1930 style.
I said the fisticuffs.
He said, oh, fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah, he had his hands up like this.
Put up your dukes.
Put up your dukes, he said. I go, I don't want to fight you, Ed.
Well, unfortunately, it's mostly sober every time I've been in the office, so maybe it's a different situation.
My favorite part of the news, by the way, in case you didn't hear that as well, was when Ricky tried to pronounce Saskatchewan. Because all the people from the East have no idea. Listen, I'm from Moose Jaw, so I know how to pronounce Saskatchewan. The big story that we wanted to get to, obviously to start with, is Charlotte's Web and their financials released today. What are your thoughts?
Well, Charlotte's Web had a huge run going into earnings. They had increased about 58% over 14 sessions since March 9th. So, and there was no material news during that time. So it appears that the run was in anticipation of good earnings, and the earnings were pretty good. We missed a little bit, like Ed said, on the revenue side. Adjusted EBITDA missed also.
Hey, Ben. I'm sorry to interrupt. I apologize. It's important what you're saying, and our feed isn't working. So we're going to call Ben back. Ben, just stand by. The guys will give you a shout back, and maybe you can.
Yeah, okay.
Talk a little bit about Charlotte's Web.
I got a chart up here. I got a 1 month chart up here. I got to put up a 3 month.
Yeah.
Okay, we can hear you, Jesus, but okay.
Yeah, why don't we throw the chart up?
The chart's up here, and so just take a look, and again, they reported today, and this is a company that basically has no debt. This company is I say it's as clean as they come. Earnings came out. They made 11 million US for the year. That's profit.
Okay.
This is a profitable company.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and we'll talk about one later on the show that isn't so profitable.
There's a lot of these companies that they're not making any money yet.
Exactly. This one's making money.
This one's making money.
It's based out of Colorado, and they don't sell a buzz. They sell, if you got medical issues, we're going to fix them.
Yeah.
That may be more important than getting high.
Well, Ed, I couldn't agree with you more. I've said it on the show. I've said it on my
if
show.
You've got aches and pains.
No, listen to me, sir. I will tell you this. The biggest growth in this industry isn't about getting high.
Yeah. It's about,
you know that.
I know.
It's about these companies like Charlotte's Web, like SLANG. We're going to be talking to them. Well, actually, no. SLANG is the opposite. SLANG is a company, if you look them up, they're all about the retail user rec experience. But companies like Charlotte's Web,
this is a bona fide.
This is the medical world, brother.
Yeah. So look at this move.
Let's go look at the chart again. There it is. Chart.
Okay. So this happened. Sorry. You know what? Maybe I had one too many beers here. Just a minute. Let me clean this up.
Yeah, clean up.
Okay. So you can see there's a line there, and there's a line here. But we've moved away from that line, so we come up with results. But, you know, buy on mystery, sell on history. So,
buy on mystery, sell on history.
Buy on rumor, sell on news. So this was moving up in anticipation of great results, and results were pretty good. Now it's moving sideways. And we've had this candle in here, which was pre the news today.
Okay.
And then we had I got to clear this up because it. So look, we got these two red candles with big tails. Those are fairly bullish daily candles, fairly bullish.
Yeah, it's not coming on the screen right now. It's on your computer, but all we're seeing on the screen is the actual chart.
Yeah. Well, I have because I'm not writing.
Oh, you're not writing it?
Yeah.
I thought you were.
Yeah. You're very observant.
Well, because I'm looking at you.
Okay.
So these two red candles.
So look at this.
There you go.
There's a red candle here, and a red candle here.
Yeah.
That looks like a couple of nuts after this.
All right. Okay.
You know, I keep going back to my. That's the only thing I know.
That looks like a droopy. You're saying that so that's in a droopy dick situation, looking backwards.
Brewers droop. You know what brewers droop?
No.
That's why you quit drinking, right?
Oh, brewers droop. That's when you can't. Well, I'll tell you what.
None of this.
It's not as bad as it's not as bad as Coke Wiener, but that's an '80s reference.
Coke Wiener.
Yeah. You don't know what that is?
Oh, I know what Coke Wiener.
Good. Oh, all right. Let's anyway. Let's segue from that discussion back to somebody. Ben, you don't even want to know what we were just talking about. What we
I caught something out. So
no, it's no good, Benny.
Engaging conversation.
So if you can just summarize your thoughts again on Charlotte's Web. Ed had his take. Basically, Ed's take was that it was on an upswing, then it's had a couple of iffy sessions. What are your thoughts?
Well, hopefully the audio is okay here. Is the audio okay, guys?
Sounds better now, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, when it comes to Charlotte's Web, I wrote a story on it last night. And like Ed said, the earnings miss wasn't that bad. But after that huge run, in the absence of any material news during that stretch, it appears that the earnings were priced into the stock. So whenever you have a huge run without material news, pricing in report, the company better did the exceptional earnings to keep the momentum forward. And all the Charlotte's Web were pretty good. They missed a little top line, adjusted EBITDA, also missed time items. And it wasn't, in my opinion, to really keep the momentum going. And that was the gist of the article last night. And saw the sell-off in the morning, about 10% off the trough. And fortunately, it's recovered in a pretty good way. And the selling wasn't sustained. So it appeared to be a one-time profit-taking event. And buyers have stepped in and taken the stock almost to par by the end. So profit-taking, it looks like that's bought up.
Hey, Benny, Benny, I've got to apologize. Everyone's working very hard to try and make this audible, and the audio is just, I don't know, is something going on in your building today? Whatever it is, Ben's take is available at midasletter.com. And Benny, I apologize. We're going to have to get back to you. We just didn't. It's just it's too.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it's not.
Look. The stock has moved up dramatically in the last month.
Yeah.
And now the results are out. It's again, and I've said this. You know, one thing you learn as a
prognosticator.
Well, you hang around Bay Street, you learn.
Okay.
The move happens before the news gets to the public.
For sure.
So the news came out today. They're making money.
Yep.
They're sitting on lots of cash. It's about valuation. It's about valuation.
And am I wrong by saying that Ben, I'm sure a lot of this that he's talking about will be on Midas Letter?
I think you're right.
Okay. Also, the cannabis market generally flat on both sides of the border. He wanted to comment on that. Next week is going to be a very interesting week here in Ontario because the retail stores start to roll out. I can't wait to see that. Because some of them, they as we said yesterday, they were supposed to be, they were available April 1st, but they have to be in operation in a month. and some of them aren't ready, and it'll be interesting to see who gets there, who's ready, who's open for business. Because I'll tell you, as a user, this OCS thing, it doesn't work for me. Anyway, all of this by way of saying, up next, Peter Miller is the CEO of SLANG Worldwide, and he'll be joining us here in the studio. SLANG Worldwide Inc. is a cannabis-focused consumer packaged goods company focused on acquiring and developing regional brands, as well as creating new brands to meet the need of cannabis consumers worldwide. The company is backed by Canopy Growth Corporation and headquartered in Toronto. Investors valued the company at 645 million Canadian dollars prior to its IPO on the Canadian Security Exchange on January 29, 2019. SLANG trades under the ticker symbol SLNG. This is going to be interesting. Please help me welcome to the program the CEO of SLANG Worldwide. And when you see him on camera for the first time, you're going to think, wait a second, did Peter Miller send his kid? Look at this boy. Look at this nice boy.
No, my kid is at home, hopefully watching this on the internet in a couple hours.
Peter's kid is Bartholomew. Peter's the CEO of SLANG Worldwide. SLANG is, and he's just been honored recently as High Times 100 Most Influential People in Cannabis for 2019 for their leadership in the cannabis industry. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
It's quite a ride. You're, just so people aren't guessing the entire time you're here.
Yeah.
You told us before we started you're 31 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, which young in absolute terms, although depending on which period of time you're in, I was either old, late middle age.
Yeah.
Right now I'm approaching middle age, I suppose. But in cannabis, you know, I've been in this since it was legally possible, so I'm experienced as anybody.
No, but just getting back to your age, though, you're saying like there was a time in our world where 31 you'd have been like almost done.
Yeah, put them out to pasture.
For sure.
Hopefully, I'd have 10 kids by this point. They'd be running the farm and taking care of me.
Your name would be Ezekiel.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, it's funny because I tried this joke a little while ago about how how remarkable it is we live to the age we are. I said, for instance, I'm nearly 60 years old. No big deal nowadays, but 100 years ago, I'd have been one of the oldest people on the planet. You know, 100 years ago, if I'd have died, that'd have been in the news. Yeah. Today, the oldest guy, 61-year-old.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's
just getting started. I watched Paul McCartney when he was about 61 do like a 3-hour set without taking a drink of water. Didn't change the key he was singing in, and I thought, you know, he's setting the high water mark. As long as he's out there touring and doing his thing, that's like the threshold of when. Well,
let's begin a little bit, since we're talking about your age. Let's begin a little bit. You said you got involved. You told me off before we started 6 years ago.
Yeah.
You were in the tech space.
Yep.
And I'm always fascinated, and I think it's an interesting story to tell. What do you remember that moment where you went, you know, this cannabis thing? When you felt a light of being something that would draw you to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So in November of 2012, watching the general election in the U.S., a lot of attention was drawn to 2 ballot initiatives that would legalize cannabis, one of which was in the state of Colorado. They both passed, and there was going to be recreationally legal cannabis for adults in North America, and that was kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It was like insane. And then a now relative, then my girlfriend's cousin, was telling me at Thanksgiving about how there was this program in Canada where you could grow cannabis for yourself or for a designated patient, you know, with a doctor's prescription and through, you know, the appropriate paper process. I thought that sounds crazy. Like, I didn't know about that. I went online, and in December, Health Canada put out guidance describing this new thing, which then was called the MMPR, which was going to replace the old thing, which was the MMAR, and effectively created the world's first federally legal commercial market for medical cannabis, albeit highly regulated. And that set off, you know, the aha, you know, this is interesting, and could I be part of this? And
you were in a tech company?
Yep, I worked for a large tech company. We were making smallish investments in startups, so I was kind of in the startup world, more as an investor. Historically, I've been an entrepreneur since I was hiring neighbors to shovel snow in the neighborhood in elementary school.
Look at you.
Shooting bat mitzvah videos in middle school, and doing a bit of a media business, which is where I met my co-founder, Billy, over 10 years ago.
Wow.
When I was doing some content for his company. So I was in media, I was in tech, saw the opportunity in cannabis, and contacted Health Canada asking when these regulations would come out. I came to find out you could get an advanced copy of the regulations a few weeks before they went into law. The date, I think, was June 19th, 2013. And so I was furiously reading these 130 pages, although it was French and English, so it could have been half of that in terms of content.
Knew?
And,
right.
And it all, naively, it all looked doable. I was like, oh, SOPs, standard operating procedures, sure, I'll write those out, on menu cards. And a quality assurance program, I'll find out what that is.
Yeah. So in the early days, you were looking through regulations and you were seeing this as an opportunity. Because you had been in tech and because you'd been investing in some smaller companies, did you also right away, and this, I'm assuming this was before SLANG Worldwide was developed, did you see it as a way to make huge wheelbarrows full of money?
It wasn't then what it is now. So obviously you build the Excel spreadsheet and you make your assumptions and you say, if I can produce a gram a watt or even half a gram a watt, and I can sell that gram for this much money, and it cost me that much money to make it.
Like every drug dealer in the history of drugs.
It wasn't that complicated, right? You make it for this.
Seriously,
you sell it for
guys in hoodies have made money. Yeah. Not everybody, but I'm just saying it.
I mean, but one of the biggest misconceptions about growing cannabis is that it's a great way to make money.
Ah.
It looks awesome.
Get somebody else to grow it for you. Yeah.
Boom. And ultimately, through the experience of starting one of the first licensed producers, experiencing that vertically integrated model of growing it yourself, taking it all the way to the customer, I realized that was not the best way, forward business model-wise. And so at SLANG, we purchase raw material, we process it into finished goods, a variety of formats, and then we wholesale it to retailers with our brands on it.
I want to talk about that too when we get a little bit further down in this story to talk about finished goods and the different ways that cannabis is not only produced, consumed, and what the future of that is. But let's talk about the beginnings. Now, SLANG trades on the CSE, SLNG if you're looking it up. And I just want to go through a couple of these things. So in 2012, you and Billy Levy, the president of the company, co-found Metrum Health Corp. And that was acquired by Canopy in 2016. So between 2012, when you were like noodling around with the regulations, all of a sudden one day Canopy calls and they buy your company.
I mean, so a couple of things. Metrum Health Corp was founded in June of 2014.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had another entity, and it formed Metrum Health Corp with another group.
Fine.
But that aside, and sort of simplistically, yes, Canopy bought it. I mean, Metrum Health was built by a great team into one of the top licensed producers. And when that first wave of kind of big consolidation started taking place, once it was a little bit de-risked from a regulatory and market perspective, by Trudeau winning, legalization, a lot more investment interest, that happened.
Yes.
So it was part of that sort of phase pre-Constellation. But it was that whole experience, those years as part of that business and that business model that made us really excited about SLANG and visiting other markets. A lot of people have backpacked through Europe and experienced the Amsterdam thing, but when you went to Colorado in 2013, 2014, and you saw the different form factors, and you saw the evolution from glass jars with raw bud to nicely packaged confections, vapes, all those sorts of things, it was wow, this is where it's going. This is starting to look like normal CPG.
Yeah.
That normalization will roll it across the world, and this is where I want to be.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because that's one of the things that has always fascinated me about this whole industry is that, because I've been in a bunch of legal dispensaries and, I go way back to when, forget buds in jars, I remember a guy brought it to me in a rolled up newspaper, son. But
back when a dime was a dime.
Back when a dime bag was a dime. But I've been in some dispensaries, more modern. There's one in Victoria I reference all the time called Farm.
Okay.
Very, very high-end, very knowledgeable staff. Looks like a David's Teas. It's very well appointed. And what did you call it? The different form factors?
Right.
It's just unbelievable, all the different forms that has, and again, these are companies that started like yours, servicing the American market and are now servicing the Canadian market with marijuana in forms that have yet to even been, most of us have never seen.
Right, and when you first saw cannabis in a liquid, inhaled through what looked like a pen, that was a little bit mind-blowing.
Yes, it was.
But it became incredibly popular because it was more discreet.
Yes.
There was less...
you could do it in movies. I mean, I don't recommend it. I'm just saying if you have one. All you do is cover the end of it. Everyone who's ever had a pen, or if you haven't experimented with it, it just has a little red glow, so you know it's still engaged because they're rechargeable. But that little move of hiding the pen in the movie, it's quite a thing. One thing I would like to say, though, is, and I mentioned it this week when I filled in for James, and I talk a lot about on my little radio show, podcast, we talk a lot about how I could never have imagined, as somebody that has been smoking marijuana in some form off and on since the 1970s, I could never have imagined this revolution of marijuana in its many forms, as you say. But where does SLANG fit into the medical efficacy market, meaning not rec? Are you guys still involved, or are you involved in that?
Yeah, so the medical rec conversation is fraught with all manner of dynamics. So in some markets, the difference between medical and rec or adult use is a cash register. You buy the same product and you check out at the medical cash register or the rec cash register, and there's a tax difference, but the product's exactly the same. We're not a pharmaceutical company. I'm certainly not telling AstraZeneca or Pfizer anything they don't already know, and we're not investing in those long-term drug trial type things.
So you're going to be more rec focused.
Yeah, we're a consumer packaged goods company making products for consumers that like cannabis.
Okay, and I know that a few times I feel like, because this is a cannabis investment program, and we should talk about the company as an investment and where that's going. But I like this conversation with you that, we get a sense of what you're producing, and then, as you just said to me before the show started, you say, if people want to look up the company, they can talk about the fundamentals. But how is the company doing? Are you feeling? Are you in a strong position? Are you?
Yeah, we're really excited because our whole business model is fortunately unique in the way that we can deploy capital and generate returns. Unfortunately unique sometimes in that it's harder for people to compare it to something. We've been leaders throughout our whole lives in the industry, the management of SLANG. But our business model is such that by buying raw material, producing finished goods, and wholesaling to dispensaries, we're less exposed to wild price fluctuations at the commodity side or at the cash register. We don't have to build and own expensive infrastructure. We don't have the tax inefficiencies of retail, which I think are going to be improved significantly with the SAFE Act as it moves through the process. But the business is incredibly healthy. Our focus is on sales at the cash register. How are people voting with their dollars for particular brands? That's what tells us whether we're doing things right or not. And so we look to partners to help us achieve those goals. We're very partner-oriented. It's a massive industry with huge opportunity and a lot of white space. There's no point in having your elbows out if you can find people to, help achieve each other's goals.
I love that.
We're doing a great partnership with Trulieve for the state of Florida. For example, massive market, huge opportunity, but it didn't cost us $1 to get into that market because we leverage partnership, and we're working with the group that has the largest footprint in that state.
Now, we have had some conversation here about what it is you guys do, the health of your company. Where do you want this company to go? Is it just a North American player, or do you want SLANG all around the world?
Worldwide.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's going there.
Do you need a butler? I could buttle. I feel like I feel like maybe if I could just sign on with you, and people would be like, "Hey, Peter, who's the old guy?" That's Howard. He's just he's the old Howard.
Gray hair on the team.
Gray hair, and we need some perspective.
We need someone who's been consuming since the 1970s.
We need a spiritual leader, a liaison, a guide.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk off.
So worldwide, SLANG Worldwide.
Anywhere cannabis is being enjoyed legally by adults, we'll be there.
Okay.
I mean, the recreational legalization trend kind of started in Colorado, which is still a huge market for us. We're very dominant in the vape category. We're doing well in edibles also. they're exciting kind of shiny objects in terms of markets that are going legal or where it just went medically legal with large populations. And in those markets, it's very expensive to enter, and it takes a long time before you start generating any income. So we look for great partners that are doing that in those markets, but we're focused on the markets where people are freely purchasing and enjoying cannabis today. And that's also how we know whether our brands are resonating.
Just a couple quick questions before you go. Do you see it? 2012, it was passed medically. It took till 2013 or 14. In Colorado.
Yep.
Do you think it'll be adopted universally in the States at some point? Obviously, in the next some number of years.
I mean, it's hard to sort of handicap that. I don't think anything is obvious. I think that there's certainly a lot of momentum and a lot of great tailwinds for the space.
Maybe more states will have medical accessibility.
Yeah, the majority of Americans live in a place where you can access cannabis legally, medically, or recreationally. I think the middle of the country will fill in, but it's possible that every state goes legal on its own before there's sort of federal consensus.
I know Colorado famously is legal. What about, because I lived in California in the 1980s, you know, Madonna.
Yeah.
And it was kind of legal. Like, the joke was you could, as long as you weren't literally smoking in front of a cop, you weren't gonna, you might get a ticket.
Right.
It was sort of tacitly legal. Where is it now?
So California was one of the first to have some sort of legal framework as far back as '96.
But is it legal rec-wise as well?
Yeah, so about 20 years later, they voted again on a ballot initiative for Prop 64, which legalized cannabis and kind of taxed and regulated it like alcohol. That rolled out at the beginning of last year. And so now it's fully legal for adults to buy cannabis at stores, get cannabis delivered to them.
Of course.
It's amazing. You know, delivery is hard to beat.
It's the best.
Get your Uber Eats.
I was going to get whatever the slang version of Uber delivery is. So you have a foothold in that market?
In delivery?
No, in
California, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, we have a top gummy. Month over month the rankings change, but at the top we're always there. We just launched a vape product like the pen that someone showed me earlier.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Nerds, you know I have a pen.
Okay.
I have a pen.
Okay. So
live with it.
We launched a product called Reserve in California a couple weeks ago. It's doing incredibly well. We're really excited about ramping for 420. But California is going to be a great market. A lot of people there, people who like cannabis, and we're seeing explosive growth in California.
Well, listen, my friend, the minute I met you, I said, there's something about this kid, and I was trying to think who you remind me of. Don't you guys think that that Peter Miller will be played by Justin Timberlake? They'll be like the Sean Parker character in Social Network.
From your lips to God's ears.
All right, my friend. So interesting. SLANG Worldwide. Quite a story, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it. The CSE, SLNG, and Peter Miller. What a pleasure, my friend.
Really appreciate it.
All right, there he is, Peter Miller.
If you're enjoying the show, subscribe to Midas Letter on YouTube so you stay up to date on everything investment.
We're going to chart it up on a Friday. Hey, Friday, people. Great to have you along. Hope you're enjoying the show. That kid, you see that kid there? 30. They say 30, 31
so
years old?
he's obviously, it's
so
like,
smart.
You know what, I think of Wayne Gretzky. I always think of, because he grew up an hour from London, Ontario. Wayne Gretzky knew day one he wanted to be a hockey player.
Yeah.
So when you know what you want to be.
It's the greatest gift in the world.
It's the greatest gift in the world because your thoughts are things, right? Like, whatever you think, that's what's going to happen.
Your thoughts are things. Are your thoughts things?
I think so.
You're saying that you think it, you manifest.
That's it. But you got to think it.
Yeah, you got to think it. Now that young man, that human, I don't see gender, that human male, he knew early on.
Yeah.
If you look at his history, he talked about being in the tech space, but early on he was an entrepreneur. Did you know early on that you wanted to be involved in the world of finance?
No.
Or did you know early on you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I can honestly say, early on, I knew, and I still feel, I'm not sure what it's all about. Like, I mean, I know I'm going back to the big energy pool.
Yeah.
I popped out of it.
Yes, you did.
Manifested as a human being.
It came out there.
Going back to it.
Going back into the zeitgeist.
But you know what?
in between?
You know, like everybody that goes to a game, a basketball game or a hockey game, they all have a slightly different view, but they're watching the same game, but it's slightly different, right?
Yeah.
Some seats are better, some aren't so good.
Sure.
I don't know.
You don't know where are your seats?
Well, right now it's right here.
You're getting so much more today out of the Eds. Ed got a little boozy booze at lunchtime, and now he's waxing poetic, philosophical.
Yeah.
But you know what? Don't mock. There's some good learning here. Now the big man, the guy that came out of the energy pool, the Ed or whatever. Ed's going to talk about some charts.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at. We're going to look at the S&P chart here.
Let's do that.
This is representative of the biggest 500 companies.
Let's look at them. Chart time.
And the market's up today. And again, I got to tell you. Here we go.
All right.
Just a minute. Okay. So here's what I see. And this has been, you know, we've had one of the biggest runs from Christmas until the end of, say, the middle of February. But then we get into in this period in here, and if you look, it's been maybe like each one of these is 1 day.
Yep.
You got 1, 2, 3. You got 20, 30 days here of where it's sort of gone sideways. Like, in other words, like the world's moving on. We had this, which was clearly a nice upward move.
Things seem fine then.
Yeah, but now, and look, you know, notice the little symbol.
Well, you before you get back into more of your dirty, before more of your dirty drawing, you referenced something a little bit today, but a couple of days ago, you said something about it coming over the top, or what was that
It's
phrase?
running into some resistance because we're having more equilibrium. In other words,
Maybe
up
it's
days,
finding,
down days, up days, like we've seen in the marijuana space as well. Hey, things seem to be okay.
When you say equilibrium, you're saying that there's going to be some kind of balance return. It's been heated up. Wasn't there some balance return in the early part of the year, though, Ed?
Well, early part of the year, it was straight up.
It went straight up.
But then that was followed. That followed December, which was straight down.
Yes.
And you know, the Fed went from, oh, we're going to raise rates, we're going to do this, and all of a sudden they're saying no more rates, no more rate increases.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, something hit a wall.
Do you have any other charts we can look at?
Yeah, well, let's take a look at. I want to put up a chart here of a company. They put up their results today. The company's called Auxly.
Yes.
Auxly, XLY.
Yep.
It's an amazing story.
Auxly released their financials today. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It says it right here.
Yeah.
I got that information.
Yeah. And
chart me.
Wait a minute. Let's just XLY.
Yeah.
CA.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Let's have it.
So here's Auxly, and this is a 3-month. I'm going to put up a 6-month just to give us a little better. They came out today, and you know what they said? They said the company lost $66 million. Now, $66 million. Now you say, well, do you mean $6,600? No, I said $66 million.
Do you mean $66,000?
No.
Do you mean $660,000?
No.
Do you mean $6 million?
No.
How many millions of dollars?
66 million.
Come on, Ed.
66 million. And look, there's 600 million shares in this company.
Yeah.
So you multiply 600.
Yes.
And it was $1 the other day.
Yes.
Just before the results came out.
And would it be now?
86 cents.
Ah.
But you multiply 86 cents by 600 million shares to get the total value of the company.
Okay.
To get an idea of what's this table worth.
Yes.
Because there's 600 million pieces. It's still worth $500 million.
Even though they gave away?
They lost 6. Even though. So, Howard. You seem like a reasonable guy.
Very reasonable.
A guy that I could say reasonable things to.
Try me.
What's a company worth that's losing $66 million a year?
It's got to be worth more than $66 million.
Well, they're losing 66. They lost 66. So if their cash,
yes,
they had lots of cash.
Now they have $66 million less.
Exactly. And you know, there's, you know, when you get into accounting, there's non-cash items, so you got to be careful. But their cash is down. If they keep losing this kind of money, they're gonna have to raise more money.
So what does it say if you're an investor? If you're somebody that, one of the nerds here looking at Auxly, again, you're not going to recommend or not recommend, but what do you think of it? You don't like this? You know what?
Well, like for instance, I look at this and I say, I look at this chart.
All right, let's look at the chart.
And here we are. And we had a bottom here. We had a nice rally. And then a bottom not so low. So we can say there was an ascending line here. Now, if we go through that line to the downside, which it looks like it's close to doing, because we've now dropped from $1.23 or now 87 cents.
87 cents.
But if you're losing $60 million a year, 67 million. How long? You know, you're gonna have to. Anyway, I'm just saying. You're just saying. Just saying.
So that's Auxly. By the way.
Yeah.
We've been doing the best we can here in terms of the Skype with Ben, and we apologize. That was shoddy. But just before we're done the show today, around 4:15, we're going to try and get Ben back on. A couple of things we want to talk to Ben about. There's this guy, Larry Kudlow, who's Trump's economic advisor.
Larry Kudlow.
Kudlow, sorry.
And he was a big.
Yeah.
And this, now here's a guy.
Anyway.
Well, anyway.
Well, let me just finish this.
Okay.
So, anyway, Ben's got some thoughts about what's going on with Kudlow or Kudlow?
Kudlow.
What did you want to say?
He is a guy that used to have a problem with substance.
Yes.
And he stopped everything. And he's an advisor to presidents as he is now. And he's done well for himself.
Just like you with me. You're an advisor.
I've got some issues. Yeah. I've got some issues.
Oh, yes, you do.
Okay.
All right. So that's coming up. We're going to give Ben another shot. But first, the co-founder of FSD Pharma will be joining me live here in the studio. FSD Pharma Inc. is a Toronto-based publicly traded company whose wholly owned subsidiary, FV Pharma, is a licensed producer under the Cannabis Act and regulations. The company is focused on the development of indoor-grown, pharmaceutical-grade cannabis and on the research and development of cannabinoid-based treatments for several central nervous system disorders, including chronic pain, fibromyalgia, and irritable bowel syndrome. FSD Pharma has 25,000 square feet available for production at its Ontario facility, with an additional 220,000 square feet currently in development. FSD Pharma Inc. is listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol HUGE.
In the car, I used to listen to you all.
Yeah. We're just talking about the other thing I do. Anthony Durkacz is here from FSD Pharma. He's the co-founder, co-chairman. I love the symbol HUGE. Anthony, nice to see you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Go ahead, you were asking me where am I now?
Yeah, I used to, when I was
when you were younger,
commuting, driving to work, I used to listen to 102.1 in the morning.
From 1989 to 2001, the Humble and Fred show was on 102.1 The Edge. In 2001, Fred and I, we were at a Christmas party. The president of the company, president of Chorus, walks across the Christmas party and he says, "Hey, Humble and Fred, I got a great idea for you." And then we went to an AM station, and we've been out there. We've been all over the place ever since.
Wow!
Yeah.
I can't
we
believe
were at the Mix. Then we were on Sirius XM. Then we were on. Now we're on a all comedy radio station.
Yes.
All sorts of stuff.
Well, you definitely made me laugh in the past.
Oh, did we?
So.
Well, hopefully this little segment won't be too disturbing for you. Let's talk a little bit about the world of weed. I know there's some announcements. Recently, Sarah May was appointed president of of your company. Well, let's talk a little bit about your company. What do you want people to know about it? Where do you land in the cannabis world?
So we're the shareholders have bought the former Kraft plant in Cobourg.
Wow.
It's a very big facility.
Yes.
So the target has been to turn it into the world's largest indoor grow-op. So not to focus on any outdoor or greenhouse, but specifically on indoor. The reason why we think that's important is because at the end of the day, we believe that, you know, because it's a commodity, the price over time is going to go down, and that the margins are kept best from indoor flower.
Really?
If you're going to sell flower, and we've seen that happening throughout the United States.
Well, I was going to ask you, is that an industry-wide thing? Is that where most of the industry? Because it seems to me a lot of the industry is already indoors.
Well, it's not.
It's not.
So in fact, most of the industry today in Canada is in greenhouse.
So the difference between the greenhouse situation and a completely indoors is you've been able to control it better, or?
Well, so yeah, the beauty is from a quality control standpoint, you will have the exact same repetitive product. You do have some changes in greenhouses in Canada with 4 different seasons. Just where the sun ends up running can cause some changes, and you can, you know, create that consistency of which we think is going to be important moving forward, especially in the flower market.
And again, I've had on the show that you've heard of, the Humble and Fred show, we've had conversations for years now about where markets are moving. Is it more medical focused? Is it the rec market? Is it a retail play? So your company, FSD Pharma, is it more therapeutic?
Focused on medicinal values. And part of the reason why I was interested in focusing on medicinal is because I'm a cancer survivor from just over 20 years ago.
Amazing.
And so,
and 20 years ago, did you avail yourself?
Yeah,
of some.
There were. I would use it. I found it better to be. It was better for me for pain at that time than taking prescriptions. I don't know if they had Auxlys back then, but they definitely had Percocets and stuff like that. So, just on a personal level, that's what ended up sort of convincing me. And then now that the more and more that we learn about cannabis and the different molecules, and this is, we are on the forefront right now of what I think is a paradigm shift in medicine. And to me, it's like comparing it back to when they discovered penicillin. And when you look and you hear about it, or you read the news, and people say, oh, it's good for pain, and it's good for sleep, and it's good for glaucoma, and it's good for inflammation, and that is true. And there are most people, any of us have probably met someone that claims that cannabis has helped some form of disease that they've had. But it's not like a one-shoe-fits-all. There's still an entire industry, and more scientifically. You can't have the snake oil, you know, salesperson on the street that's giving you an oil that, you know, is going to cure your particular type of cancer, because that's not true. We also know that. Sometimes it does, but that was by total chance.
Well, and I love this conversation, because this conversation is similar to other ones that I've had in terms of, you know, medical efficacies and you know, when I'm older than you are. Back in the 1970s, you know, there was just weed. I didn't know. I'd never heard of indica or sativa. So you start to avail yourself of the knowledge, but then you realize there are literally thousands of permutations and applications, and a company like yours focusing on that is only going to, I think it's a great growth idea, because that's where it's all, like I've said it on this show, I've said it on my show. One day, very soon, they just did a deal with Walgreens in the States, in Shoppers Drug Mart. You're going to walk in there, and there's going to be regular medicine, there's going to be vitamins, and there's going to be the cannabis counter.
Yes.
And you're going to go walk in there with a prescription from your doctor saying, this is the strain, this is the amount, and companies like yours are the ones that are going to be making those available.
We definitely hope so, and we're also seeing, you know, the movement that we've seen in Canada in terms of legalization starting to happen in the USA.
Right.
And so I think that opens up just a whole other dynamic and very large door of opportunity.
You think?
On the medical side, yeah. So we think,
Who needs marijuana more than the Americans? Seriously, chill the F out, America. Get high, get rid of the guy. Let's move on. Sorry, just a little.
No problem. And we think the, you know, when eventually the first step, the Farm Bill was passed at the end of last year. Trump passed it, which means that hemp and CBD is now legal federally in America, and that's very important, because now you can create a business where you can open a bank account. You can't do that now in these legal states that are selling cannabis, even though it's state legal, it's not federally legal.
That's right.
That creates a very big challenge. So they're taking in cash, and they can't transact on.
Well, we talked about this yesterday. That's huge news. We spoke to a professor in the States yesterday. This is a huge thing for companies like yours to make these products available.
100%, and at least now that CBD is available, CBD is seen as one of the the molecules that you find either in cannabis and, thankfully, in hemp that have medicinal properties. It's not psychoactive, so it doesn't get you high.
Right.
People believe it has the medicinal qualities. So really, even from someone that doesn't want to get high or feel high, but believes that there's a medicinal quality attached to it, that market could probably be multiple times bigger at the end of the day, and that's just. We think is the most exciting, and we think that America now is beginning to wake up because that was that first step towards complete legalization. Yep. There's, I think, a very, very big business, and we think that there's going to be access to capital that even hasn't been seen before in Canada, and it's been a great 2.5 years so far in this country, but it's just beginning in America.
I just wonder with companies like yours and people like you that have been thinking, working toward. Legalization in Canada was just a step along the way. Mm-hmm. And, it may be 5 to 8 years away in terms of, universal adoption in the States, or maybe it'll just always be a state-to-state thing. But I think it's interesting that, that a company like yours is going to be there to help us dose correctly.
Yes.
For ailments, especially, I would tell you, forget giggling about getting high. We could always get high. It's easy. It's the baby boomers, the 60s and 70s and into the early 80s that are going to have a different later stage of life experience.
Absolutely, and even what we found in Cobourg, which is where our plant is, we have the community support and the political. I can't remember the name, but where it is politically. The average person's age, I believe, is in the mid-50s. Mm-hmm. We're getting a lot of support. Now, I don't know if that support would be there 10 years ago.
I think the support would be there 10 years ago, but people 10 years ago were shy to talk about it. People 10 years ago were shy to share that they were, maybe using marijuana, not just for, getting high and watching Netflix. Although Correct. It's great for that, I must say. I have this worry though that because I'm going to be 60 next year.
Maybe people are watching the show and getting high.
Maybe. I know as soon as it's over, I'm going to get high. I just have this idea, this vision of the future where there's a bunch of people, grandmas and grandpas walking around just a bit high, trying to remember their passwords for shit. But your company and companies like yours, I think, are doing great work in that. I want to be able to go to my doctor at 68 and say, listen, my shoulder is killing me. I don't want any more anti-inflammatories that it will affect my liver.
Yes.
Give me something different. And the fact is that something different is going to be available. And it looks like you guys are doing great work with that. And
it's, I think, probably going to be one of the most exciting industries in the next few years. And I think we see people in Canada, because we've now seen this unveiled, and it's happened, and legalization became a reality.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit, the party on October 17th, I think, was dampened just because of the challenges on the retail side.
Well, for sure.
But I think on the medical side, there's just absolutely astronomical opportunities out there, which I would say are going to be hard to find in any other industry in the next 5 years, unless there's a technology that comes about that we don't know about yet.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of things you just said, like October 17th, where everyone was. In fact, that's the first time I was on the show. October 17th, everyone was excited. October 19th, the government ran out of weed.
Exactly.
And I remember saying to somebody, they didn't think there was going to be a demand for this?
Yes.
People have been waiting for years. The other thing is where it's going with edibles and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
So that's just one stage. We're so far down the road that I'm sure you guys there are things that will come up in the next 5 years that you don't even know now.
Correct. For sure. There are things that are coming up now that no one's seen yet in the industry, but it'll begin to become unveiled in the next few months.
What about this company? Co-founder, co-chairman, FSD Pharma. It's on the CNSX, HUGE.
Yes.
Big things. Company's growing.
The company's growing.
When you leave here, should I just call my broker? I met Anthony.
I don't give buy and sell advice ever because I can't. And our stock has been under pressure lately, and you know, not one of the top performers recently, and we did have some news releases that were challenges that we had to deal with. But today the company is still in phenomenal financial shape and has a very large amount of market valued assets within the company and has zero debt. And,
amazing.
And there are a lot of opportunities, but before we were, I think, we would news release things to keep investors informed, and some of that ended up backfiring on us, frankly. And so I think we had to take a step back and think from now on, everything that we're going to put out. Not that nothing's happened. If anyone thinks nothing's happening, that's absolutely not the case. I mean, if you look at my eyes, I hardly sleep, and it's because I'm working, to build shareholder value.
I was an investor in your company. I don't want you sleeping.
Exactly, and so the whole focus has been to making sure we do the right things. From now on, we want to completely under-promise, and ultimately, hopefully, over-deliver. But the times are extremely exciting, and especially in the medicinal side, is amazing, and really, I think morally is also a great thing, because this will impact a lot of different areas in medicine, and will give people, I think, a lot of choice or option that is probably not servicing them well. I have personal people in my family that certain painkillers, if they take them, they have all sorts of different problems, whether it's constipation or
side effects.
Or there's
all kinds of side effects.
Certain side effects.
And I think I love that you said that's almost like a moral obligation. There are people who. And oftentimes I used to wonder when I was a kid, if a drug has all these side effects, why would you take them? Sometimes you have to endure the side effects to get some relief. Whereas with the products your company and other companies like yours will make, as I said yesterday, the only side effect of weed is sometimes I want to have 7-Eleven chicken.
It might be a little more than that.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's still a lot of things we haven't done it. But
my chair broke.
But it's
this is a good look. No, keep this. I like it. Anthony?
Either I just grew a foot, or you just.
I don't know. It's a Friday show, my friend.
Thank you very much. For having me,
guys,
Howard.
Can we just put me? There we go. Okay, Anthony, Co-Chairman FSD Pharma, Durkacz, great to meet you. Humble and Fred Show. By the way, if you want to listen to my show, humbleandfredradio.com. Go there, listen, laugh.
I will
come and join us.
I will do that.
Come and join us, Anthony.
Okay. One day I will join you.
I'm going to have you on my show.
Thank you very much.
Now let's take a look at some of the cannabis financials we expect over the next month. Have a look.
Here are some upcoming events in the cannabis space. iAnthus are releasing their Q4 financial results on April 1st with a conference call at 8:30 a.m. Eastern on April 2nd. MediPharm Labs Corp announced that it will release its fourth quarter results before markets open on April 3rd. Green Thumb Industries are releasing their Q4 financials on April 9th with a conference call at 5:00 p.m. Eastern. Aphria are releasing their Q3 financials on April 15th with a conference call with investors at 9 a.m. Eastern that morning. Delta 9 are releasing their Q4 financials on April 23rd, and TerraSend are releasing their Q4 financials on April 30th.
Up next, the CEO of Street Beverages will be joining us live in the studio, now that my chair's fixed. Street Beverage Company makes alcohol-free beer, wine, and adult-format beverages. The company's products include Hill Street Craft Brewed Lager, Designated Draft Alcohol-Free Beer, Van Zero Wines, and Van Tense Wines. Hill Street also produces and sells cannabis-infused adult beverages as soon as the sale of cannabis edibles becomes legal in Canada in October 2019. Hill Street has licensed a patented infusion technology from Lexaria Bioscience, which infuses cannabis into beverages to mimic the onset and duration effects of alcohol. Hill Street Beverage Company is listed on the TSX Venture under the symbol BEER. It is good beer.
It is good beer.
Ed, I'm telling you, it's good beer.
You want this one, Ed?
Yeah, Ed, come on over and get your beer.
Come on.
Get a beer.
Just
hang around.
Just hang.
It's Friday.
Hang around.
Hang around.
See you, Ed.
Yeah.
Here's another character.
It's great stuff.
Where do you want Ed? Ed, they want you out of the shot. Okay. Apparently this is very.
Okay.
Here's the problem. These young people, Ed, are taking it way too seriously.
You know what? These youngsters.
I know. With me now is the CEO of Hill Street Beverage Company. It trades on the TSX. V:"beer.
Beer. Beer is the
Why does it say V:"beer?
It's on the Venture Exchange.
Oh, Venture Exchange.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Terry is he's a friend of mine, somebody I know, and he makes this product. This is called Designated Draft.
Yeah.
And if you, like myself, I don't drink alcohol, and I got the, I've known Terry for, I guess, a couple years now.
Yeah.
Terry's also, like me, from Saskatchewan.
Yeah. Melon Head.
Where?
Watermelon Head.
Nice. When I first met Terry, he told me he had 10 brothers and sisters. That's a true. Is it 10?
Yeah, that's true.
True story.
Yeah.
And anyway, we became acquaintances. And Hill Street Beverage Company is quite a story. March 1st, some news came out, reported your fiscal Q2 financial results.
Yeah.
Some interesting, for investors, some interesting news.
Yeah, year to date, I think we're up about 35%, something like that.
Nice.
Things are going very, very well. I mean, our first quarter, we had a great first quarter. We are up over 100% year over year. Because of such a big first quarter, we had slightly compressed second quarter, but generally speaking, we're tracking about a 30 to 40% raise over last year, which is just fantastic.
It is fantastic.
And it's really, for us, the alcohol-free brands are really just a proxy for our cannabis products, right? So I actually expect the cannabis products will be the vast majority of our revenues when they finally come out, and we have this great platform because there's no prohibition on marketing non-alcoholic wine and beer the way there is marketing alcoholic wine and beer.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That you're not restricted in the same way that...
No restrictions.
Well, Terry's company, we spent a month together, Terry and David Polera, his marketing genius.
Yeah.
We did, because January was a big push for Hill Street in terms of getting people to try going basically booze-free for the month.
Yeah.
I've been booze-free for a few years, and I can tell you, if I want to get, because two things I want to talk about. One is how good this tastes. Ed's already drinking it. Let's try it. Because it's not, cheers, sir.
Cheers.
It's not like that, it's not like some of that other non-alcoholic stuff that is, well, it's basically dank and heinous.
Heinous. That was the word you used in January.
It's
heinous.
Heinous.
It's horrible.
This tastes like great beer.
It's great beer.
Because here's what they did, and this is why this is going to tie into cannabis. What they did at Hill Street, rather than make a non-alcoholic beer, they made a beer, a really, really good beer. It's won awards. And then they took the alcohol out of it.
Yeah.
Which is a huge difference in a lot of these companies that you've tasted, and they are shitty.
Yeah.
But this tastes like great beer. It just doesn't happen to have any booze in it. So I learned, and you're about to have Terry explain, that in the fall, when edibles become legal in October of 2019, this company is going to be ready to sell cannabis-infused, non-alcoholic beer and wine.
And wine.
Now, when you first told me, I thought that's weird. It'll just be like an edible, and you just get high. But it's different.
It is different.
Because the delivery system will allow the beverage to mimic
the effects of alcohol.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so we did a deal with a company called Lexaria.
That's right.
Lexaria has had great accolades. They just got a $12 million or $13 million investment from Altria to continue the R&D that they've developed, because their technology not only works on cannabis, it also works on nicotine. It works on non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. It works on vitamins and all kinds of things that are really bad-tasting chemicals that are oil-based, they're not water-soluble. And if you ingest them, they usually take 1 to 2 hours before you get the effect.
Like a typical edible is 45 minutes to an hour.
Right. And so what Lexaria has done is they've created this patented platform where you feel the effect usually within the first 5 minutes. You start to feel it. and you get the full effect within about 15 to 20 minutes. And the tests that we've done, we feel the effect as early as 5 to 6 minutes. You feel the full effect within about 15 minutes, and then
and dissipates.
And then it dissipates over about 2 to 3 hours.
Terry, just back up a second, because I've talked a little bit today, a little bit this week. So I didn't realize that when you first told me that you guys were going to do this in January. I went okay.
Yeah.
But what I didn't realize is that technology, the Luxaria technology, can give you the feeling like you're having a glass of wine, where you start to feel something
as you're drinking it.
As you're drinking it, 4 or 5 minutes in. It peaks after 15 or 20 minutes, and then it dissipates.
Yeah, and it really, you know, when you think of a glass of wine, you don't do, you know, with a glass of wine, but normal people, you kind of luxuriate over it, right? And so if you're luxuriating over a beverage, it's sort of, you're not really expecting like you do with a joint. You take a hit and it'll boom.
Well, you get
the maximum buzz.
Well, you get buzzed right away.
Right away. Whereas when you're drinking a wine or a beer, you have this kind of luxuriating experience.
It's more insidious. It sneaks up on you.
But it's also a social experience. It's a sharing thing, you know, and you're doing it over a period of time. Like you have a few beer while you're watching a game.
Right.
And so we're creating that only with cannabis instead of
alcohol.
alcohol.
Let me ask you, because I've done a lot of thinking about this, being somebody that, you know, has some issues with alcohol. I don't know if you people do, but I did. And being someone that is a daily user in some form of cannabis. What I'm curious about is this. So I know that when I was going through some of my worst drinking, I only drank high octane booze. I drank vodka, I drank scotch, and wine, which has higher elevated levels of alcohol. How are you going to do that with this? What I mean by that is there going to be like, the beer will be like having a beer version of weed. The wine will be like having a wine version, and so on.
That's exactly what we're creating. It's another one of the features of the Luxaria technology is it actually has about 5 to 10 times greater bioavailability of the THC than another edible. So a 2 milligram dose feels like a 10 to 20 milligram dose.
Oh, I see.
A bottle of wine, which we've done our tests with 10 milligrams, which is the maximum Health Canada allows, 10 milligrams in a bottle of wine. And it's fantastic because it feels like 50 to 100 milligrams. So you have 1 glass of wine and you feel it. You have 2 glasses, you feel great.
You feel it more.
You feel it more. You feel great.
So you'll be able to regulate it. So let's say somebody, and by the way, I know, again, I know some of you are going to think, oh, I'm just saying that because I know the company. But I have not had the taste of beer for 3 years and 3 months until January. And I was blown away because if you had poured this in a glass and gave it to me, I'd say it's got booze in it. So when it comes to the way these people make their beverages, they know what they're doing. I'm excited because...
We've actually 3 world championships on our...
3
world championships.
Not 1. Most people got no world championships.
I know, exactly. We have been on the podium. Like when you look at the can...
Oh, yeah, it's got a thing.
We show all those gold... Like that's not just a design thing.
No, it's
That's not something an art director made up. Those are actual medals.
The most awarded alcohol-free beer company... Tout le monde.
Tout le monde.
But listen to me. I would tell you this. I can't wait for you to get this because, you know, it's interesting because you'll be able to go into a store, come back with your weed beer, and you want a little bit of a buzz, or if you want a bigger buzz, you have a glass of your weed wine.
Or just buy a few more beer.
Buy more beer.
Buy more beer.
This company on the TSX, BER.
BEER.
BER.
Just say beer.
B-E. Why does it sound like I'm saying that wrong?
It's beer.
B-E-E-R. Oh,
beer.
2 E's.
Yeah, because it's beer.
All right.
TSXV beer.
Listen, Terry Donnelly. Great news for the consumers. Hill Street Beverage Company.
Yeah, we're very excited about where this is going. Our goal is to be ready as soon as the product is legal to sell.
Which will be when?
Which God only knows.
I thought October was they're shooting for October.
Well, the latest I heard in today's Cannabis Professional, the latest is that the regulations will be dropped before October or maybe by October. But they won't legalize the product for months following.
Oh my God.
So, it's another scenario with the government where you have no idea and it's just...
They're just so dumb. We're all out here waiting for these products. And tax revenue could be.
And not only that, but like you have to make cannabis in a completely separate place than we make our beer. We have to literally get a new building and entirely new production lines. Oh, it's millions of dollars more.
All right.
So it was a ridiculous undertaking. Because like we can handle allergens in our facility and not kill anybody.
But they won't let you handle.
But they won't let you handle cannabis.
Well, we'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
It was a great experience getting involved with you guys for the month of January and your Dry January initiative, which I believe I'm doing this from memory, but it was there was two big charities.
Yeah, the Prostate Cancer Foundation.
Prostate Cancer and
Arthritis Society.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And raised a lot of money.
6 million impressions. We had 2 million views of our videos.
Crazy.
It was
By the way, these
fantastic.
videos are hilarious. If you want to go check it out, go to Hill Street Beverage.
HillStreetBeverages.com.
Okay. Terry Donnelly.
Howard,
Give my best to David.
Thank you.
Good seeing you again in a minute. The Ed Man. We'll be back and we'll be speaking to Ben. We're going to try. But first, have a look at this.
Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you more or less delivered on.
Here are the headlines moving markets today.
If you're lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents,
and I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really.
Recreational cannabis is here.
It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits.
Bend over. Is my chair too tall? There we go.
Okay, wait a minute.
Are you taking what's he doing? Have you tried this?
I'm drinking one right now.
Did you hear what I said? These guys made a beer. May I?
Tastes like a beer.
I'll tell you this. These guys made a beer, took the alcohol out. I tasted a bunch of when I was experimenting with the alcohol-free thing, I was trying to drink
texting.
The texting. When I was looking at reduced alcohol products, they all taste like shit. This tastes like beer.
This is the best beer product, non-alcoholic product I've ever tasted.
This is what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm going to take this deal. I'm going to promote it. We're all going to make a fortune.
Well, I knew him first. He's from Saskatchewan. Will you help me make a fortune, please?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Ben, let's try Ben. We got a couple questions for Ben. Benny, are you there, my brother?
I'm here. Hopefully, third time's a charm.
Yeah, hopefully.
Is he with the Jets?
Is he what?
Is he with the Benny and the Jets?
Benny and the Jets. Hey, Ben, before we lose you again, a few of the people, some of the weed nerds were asking about CXXI. Can you talk about that?
Sure. CXXI has been. Is the audio okay, guys?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. CXXI has been, of course, regular viewers might know that the stock increased quite dramatically after we conducted an interview with CEO Robert Cheney a few days ago in February, mid-February, I believe. And it's been on a roll ever since. It was at about 115 before he came on the show. Today it closed at $2.45. It's been over a double. But it's been very volatile today. Over the course of that time, just with the story getting out, it's been somewhat of a Twitter phenomenon. A lot of people come on board. There's been some promotion that is, been a little bit top-heavy, and some people have been, over promoting it, if you want to call it. So it's received a little bit of notoriety as being sort of a social media, quote-unquote pump. But underlying that, I believe it's a very good story. We've got some very good assets. It appears to be fairly undervalued. We're waiting for reports to come out on that, verify some of his profiles, past acquisitions, instead of just relying on the company's trailing earnings. And it's my understanding that there's some catalysts in the pipeline. So, volume has increased dramatically. A lot of people are following it. There's a lot of dynamics.
Well, Ben, maybe there's some glitch in the system, but for some reason, we can't get your audio to work correctly, and I think we'll try. We'll take the weekend. We'll try it again. I wish you the best. I don't know when I'll see you next, but have a great weekend. Hope you're well, and we'll see you again.
All right, thanks, Howard.
There you go. Now, the next 8 minutes, now for the next 8 minutes, Ed's just gonna yell loud shit to me.
I got the chart up of that company up, CXXI.
Here comes Ed.
Okay, so here we go. So let's look at this, and this has been, and we were I believe Ben and I were sitting here across from each other. We had the gentleman who's the main guy, and we were talking about how undervalued this thing is.
How undervalued this is?
Well, I'll just say, if you look at their metrics,
yes,
and you look and you compare them, and I hope the CEO is listening, because I wouldn't mind you sending me some freebies. Just saying.
What are you looking for?
A little action.
Freebie what? Free what?
Freebie one Kenobi.
What do you want?
What do I want? I want it all.
What do these guys make that you want?
I don't know. So look at. This is where it was when we were talking. Okay, right in here.
Ooh.
And all of a sudden the thing popped, because he said on a fundamental basis, and I'm ex-accountant here.
You're a fundamental guy. You put the fun in
fundamentalist.
You put the fun in fundamentals.
I'm not a fundamentalist. I'm a fundamentalist. Fundamentalist. Anyway, look at this. You could have bought this stock 2 months ago at $1.40.
Yeah.
$1.40.
Where are we at?
No, less than that.
Yeah.
$1.90 cents. You know what it is now? $2.45.
That's a two-bagger.
3-bagger.
What?
2.5 bagger.
2.5 bagger.
2.5 bagger.
Yeah.
I got a 2.5 bagger.
You can't handle a 2.5 bagger.
Anyway, the gentleman.
Yeah, did you buy it? Did you do the right thing?
I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart.
But you like this Hill Street. You like Hill Street Beverages.
I like that deal. I'd like that deal. I want to meet the CEO who you just spoke to.
My buddy.
He's your new buddy.
You want to talk about a long close? I started talking to that Terry Donnelly guy like 2 years ago. Took me a 20-month close to get him on as a sponsor, and I know these guys know what they're doing.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you know him from your other professional career?
Yes, my other job.
Interesting.
It is interesting. Do you want to look at anything? The market's closed a while back. We had a couple people in here because we're going to wrap things up.
It's 421.
I got 423 on my computer.
421.
423. Your computer's the only one in the world that doesn't have the right time. Okay. Jesus Christ. We're going to get to some bloopers, but let's take a couple minutes, talk about this week. I know it's been a bit up and down. How did we finish?
Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the broad.
What did you think I just asked you? What the fuck do you think I'm asking you to do? I just want to go home and watch golf.
You want to go home, shatter it up a bit?
I'm going to shatter it up, get some sunflower seeds, and watch golf.
Eat some ice cream.
Eat some Spitz. I call them Spitz when I was a kid. Spitz.
Mark Spitz. Remember Mark Spitz? Swimmer.
Yes.
He won a lot of, only surpassed this year by you know who?
Who?
The guy that won all the...
No, I don't know who.
You know.
I don't.
Who?
Let's talk about the markets there, Ed, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Come on. Okay. Chart me, man.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So SPX, let's just take a look. How did you close today? Up 18 points. Strong day. I'm going to make a mention here of something I heard last week, whereby something that happened.
Yes.
And again, these are exogenous events. That's a big word. Exogenous.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't know either.
Well, what did you use it for then?
Well, I think it means an event that sort of stands by itself.
Exogenous events. What about an exogenous
E-X-O-G-E-N-O-U-S. Exogenous.
Exogenous. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It means relating to or developing from external factors.
Okay.
You're saying the market was a victim of exogenous effects.
So somebody wrote this, and I looked it up, and I want to bring this out to the viewers because apparently what happened last week only happened once in the last 70 years.
What?
So what happened last week?
Trump got laid?
There was this weird dynamic, this weird technical development.
And what was that?
That's not so important as the fact that it doesn't happen very often.
And what was the result of this exogenous event?
So it happened once in the last 70 years. It happened last week. So it's happened twice now in 70 years.
Jesus.
And the last time it happened, and it was like doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And the market went straight up for 9 years. So we may be,
we could be the calm before the superstorm.
Yeah. And I want to share that with the viewers.
Yeah.
Give everybody a little optimism on the weekend.
That. Well, a nice way to send them home on a Friday.
Because sometimes when it looks ugly, it's setting you up for something else to happen.
Here's another version of the definition of exogenous: growing or originating from outside an organism. Here's my question: do you plan to have some organisms this weekend, Ed?
Yes.
Hey, Ed's going to have some great organisms. Right now, before we say goodbye.
That's funny. That's funny.
Before we say goodbye.
Are you a mushroom?
What?
Fungi.
Before we say goodbye, stop
it.
Just stop right now. Before we say goodbye, let's have a look at some of the
bloopers,
moments of mirth here on Midas Letter for the week that was.
Moments of mirth.
Have a look.
Who'll give me $50 for this fella here? Ed's name's big special edge. He's going to $25. $25. Give me $50. $50 sold.
Now, do you know the name? The big hedge fund guy in the U.S.
This is my favorite segment called "Is Ed Going to Remember This?"
This one's going to be a hard one. Fuck, my head hurts. Even Co. Incorporated announced that the company's $4 million previously Even Co. Incorporated announced that the remaining.
Ed, you buying, you selling, you buying, you selling? What's going on?
We are cone heads.
Excuse me. Highlights of the 2018 full year results include.
Is this just one of many dominoes that may or may not fall?
I don't know. That's what we're trying to find out. What were you trying to tell me there, young fella?
Sorry, this is so annoying.
Immortal Warrior Angel says Ed is gay.
Really? Yeah. What did I do wrong now? I'm getting shit from James. I'm getting shit from God. Everybody's shitting on me. You know what I mean?
Yodel.
Even fucking hell.
Immortal Warrior Angel now wants you to know. He says, "Love you, Ed."
This is how it starts.
Well, you
Cocktails
got
at 4:30. Notice the way what I said. What kind of tales? Just saying.
Coco Chanel.
Yeah, she's
the famous hot chocolate heiress.
I wouldn't say hot chocolate. I'd say hot fashion.
Eve and Co.
Inca Dinka Drilladoo.
Even Co. Incorporated announced that the remaining $4 million principal amount of senior secured. I fucking hate this.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Oh, I got that backwards.
Wink, wink.
Even Co. Incorporated announced that the remaining $4 million principal amount of secured fucking fuck.
You know
what Argentina stands for, don't you?
What do you mean stands for? It's not an abbreviation.
Even Co. Incorporated announced that the remaining $4 million of principal amount of
Here we go. SPX and
can't see the chart.
What's going on here? What's going on?
Of the initial $10 million principal amount of debentures issued by the company. Fuck.
As you get older, you just give less shits.
Like, what's the big deal? Like,
what is the big deal?